welcome to your Google Analytics inside of the agency platform. So first, maybe to address the obvious question, why have Google Analytics pulled into the agency platform when you could just log into Google Analytics separately? So I'm going to go over this short overview video, assuming that you know what Google Analytics is, and if not, you can research that a bit on your own. But the reason why we pull in a full UI, a full interpretation of Google Analytics with most of their data into our own dashboard is mainly to centralize access to relevant data, so that you don't have to log out of your agency dashboard and go find Google Analytics and dive into there if you're wanting to review certain pieces of information. This way, everything is contained within one system for you. But maybe even more importantly is being able to centralize everything for the client, so that whenever you let the client know that you have every single piece of reporting and data they could ever want for their marketing campaign, hey, if you're not including a lot of what's in Google Analytics in your dashboard, then you're missing a big piece of the marketing puzzle. So it's important to have everything centralized. With that being said, as I go through this overview, I'm going to hit on some of the basic points of data pulled into the system and how to use it and what it means, but I'm not going to deep dive into the data. Instead, if you would like to know, if you would go to Google Analytics Academy, which is at this URL here, or you can just Google Google Analytics Academy. And it's going to take you to where if you wanted to take your own courses to understand Google Analytics inside and out, you can do that and you can deep dive into it. Now, of course, anytime that there's a full-blown academy to learn something, you can imagine that there's a lot of information and a lot of data there. One of the biggest reasons why people do not use Google Analytics is because of the complexity of the interface and how much information is there. It's typically overwhelming for people, and most people do not use the majority of information that is within Google Analytics. So at Agency Platform, we've been able to pull in what we believe is a more simplified version of Google Analytics using their data so that it's easier for you to analyze. Starting with the dashboard overview, all your sources of traffic, sessions, users, mobile data, and top channels, of course, even your social media. It's much more simplified as opposed to if you looked at this from Google Analytics. Now, diving deeper, if we were, for example, to look into Geo, so if we go into Geo, it's going to break down where traffic's coming from on a world level, right? What are the main countries you're getting traffic from? Then, if you want to click down, dig into a country, it's going to break down from the United States, all of the states, and then you can deep dive even further, click on a state, and it's going to dive down to the city level. So similar to Google Analytics, but an easier to understand UI. Then if we're going to jump into behavior, you can look at new versus returning visitors, frequency versus recency, and even engagement levels. So how long are people staying on your page? What's the percentage of sessions based on page views? And if you even wanted to dive down into technology, what browser, operating system, network are they coming in on? We can look at that as well. Most of this you also would not use, but at least it's contained within one centralized dashboard. On mobile site usage, of course, as we all know, this is important as there's more people browsing on mobile devices than there are desktop devices these days. If you're running an AdWords campaign, we're even pulling in the AdWords portion of the interface for campaigns, keywords, search queries, and destination URLs. Traffic sources is probably one of the main portions of the dashboard that you would use to look at a campaign so that you can break down direct traffic, referral traffic, social media traffic, etc. Even on a content level. Site content, pages, landing pages, If we wanted to look at data on landing pages, as you can imagine, as is inside of Google Analytics, based on that page, how many sessions, how many page views, average duration spent on that page, percent new sessions, and of course, your bounce rate. Everything you typically troubleshoot in Google Analytics and want to have access to is going to be in here. Social. Okay, now, social is becoming more and more popular, especially if you're running a social media campaign. How much referral traffic are you getting from different social media sites? E-commerce breakdown, as well as a goal breakdown. So if goals have been set up, for example, to track conversions on form submissions, that would also be available from here. So to summarize, instead of logging in separately to Google Analytics, you have everything you would need inside of Agency Platform, which also centralizes it for your client and allows us to pull certain data points from Google Analytics that are made available in other portions of the dashboard. So if you're looking to have Google Analytics integrated into a centralized login with everything else, that's a check mark that you can make because we have it.